Bailey's Cross, people didn't realize that it was never completed. It was interrupted.
I'll move.
And he said up in the press room, where there was very little sophistication, people would say he lost his fastball. Because they're expecting Perry Mason and Furhman saying, okay, I did it, I'm sorry, everybody. He said, but the conclusion of the defense lawyers and sophisticated lawyers around the country who piped in on the matter was that he had him. The Furhman was destroyed. And I'd be interested in your view, because it's true, and the jury told us that. They said he was destroyed the minute he opened his mouth. You helped a little. But I was looking at his eyes, and that's where I always see where a human being is either luscious or vicious. And I'd be interested in your assessment of the point at which Furhman showed in his eyes that he was done.
You know, that's interesting. I'm going to have to rewatch it and get that take, because in my mind, I'm hanging on every...
You won't see it. You can read it right in.
Yeah, because I'm hanging on every word thinking...
Well, yeah, others might disagree, and I have you at a disadvantage because you don't see it on the video as I did by boring right into his eyes, waiting for him to realize he screwed up.
So you knew you were going to get him, but there was that moment where you were like...
I didn't know where.
Right. And that was, you had that moment of that's it.
But Ito, by shoving me aside, I mean, he was really very pro-prosecution. In my new book, the lawsuit Furhman filed against the state looking for early retirement, saying in essence he was a racist and not fit to be a cop, was 10 years old, and Ito ruled that's a cutting line. You can't go there. Nothing more than 10 years, and that's why my questions were in the last 10 years, detective. But I published that full lawsuit. There are 4 evaluations in Furhman in there. He's a malingerer. He's a liar. He's a psychologist. After testing, he's trying to cheat the state out of money. I mean, they're awful. The public never heard that. But then Ito handed me another curveball. I was questioning Furhman about witnesses that we had in inventory who were ready to come in and bury it on the issue of whether he used the word nigger and much worse. I knew nothing about the tapes, and people are always kind of cute when they say, well, did you know about the tapes? And the answer is no, you asshole. If I'd had the tapes, I'd have had to turn them over. Court ruled.
Sure.
We got them later, thanks to Pat McKenna. Ito said, all right, that's enough. You cannot ask him about any statements he made to other witnesses until you call them and their testimony has been cross-examined. Now, that ruling was absolutely and totally illegal. It meant that I couldn't conclude my cross unless the defense put on a case, which he had no right to compel in any criminal matter. Not only that, if you make a representation to a court, I have a witness to justify this question, that's enough. And there are plenty of remedies for somebody who lies about that or exaggerates. And I had them lined up and they were in irons. He made his ruling. And I said, okay, how am I going to call these people now without calling them? And I said to Furhman, well, you've been very clear about the fact that in the last 10 years you've never used that word. Yes. I said, so if somebody comes into this courtroom and says on their oath that they heard you use it, very clearly they would be a liar, wouldn't they? That question's improper. No Nobody objected. Ito knew he was at 1 foot over the line. He said, yes, they would. And that's when I had it. I said, all of them? And that told him and the jury I had a bucket full and he was gone. Nathan Lane, in an otherwise well-acted but mediocre replication of the Simpson trial that was FX, Fox, I believe, or something, had Cuba Gooding as OJ, who was terrible. John Travolta as Shapiro, who was wonderful. Nathan Lane played Ben. They got that part of it right. And that's where I saw his eyes and I said, oh my God, he's got a whole lot of people. And the way Ito ruled it meant I could call them all and have the jury evaluate them, and then bring Furhman back to the stand to deny. We got the tapes, they're right in here. Hike Verba. They were played in open court. Ito excluded them from jury consideration, all but 2. His ruling came down at 5 in the evening. Johnny Cochran, who had a good hand in his temper all the time, called a press conference in his parking lot. And soon you couldn't move. I mean, everybody gave it. Here was the big ruling, too. Innocuous little snippets were allowed in. The rest are out. And he called Ito everything but a communist and a crook. I thought the bar would do something about it, but Ito was dead wrong, and he didn't want to make an issue of it. And then it was decided that after the jury heard these tapes, because the others were out there, whether he admitted them or not, that he had to plead guilty. So they let Jerry Ullman take the Fifth Amendment answers, and Jerry forgot a very important question. We had to remind him, did you drop the glove at OJ's place? He took the Fifth. In a civil case, that's an admission that the answer should have been yes. In a criminal case, who knows? The jury, OJ talked to me yesterday. He said, I've got to give a lecture to a group of black judges. And I can't remember whether the jury was present when you made Furhman take the Fifth. He said the jury wasn't present. Everybody would have gone home the same day. But that's the moment where it crumbled. And if I dropped dead the next day, they couldn't repair it. Because there wasn't a Furhman-type prosecutor at the table. Scheck and Neufeld, the gangsters from New York, they were good, smart, competent lawyers. But they were more Innocence Project and DNA lawyers than they were cut the guts out of a cop. Although, frankly, everybody in New York gets a shot at that, because everybody in New York has a scheme.